Anok Yai has an incredible life story, and she's only 23 years old. I'm amazed by what she will have accomplished by 93 years old. She was born in Cairo, Egypt, as a refugee to South Sudanese parents, who were able to move the family to the U.S. Her early life of living on government assistance taught Anok so much about having a thick skin. She and her siblings, who were the older ones, helped to raise the younger siblings while her parents worked hard. Anak talks about all of this in our interview. Education was a main standard in her household, and it was while being a biochemistry student in college that Anak went down to Howard University's homecoming 3 years ago, where she had her photo taken by a photographer who posted it on Instagram. The next day, Anak woke up with hundreds of followers and calls from modeling agencies. Her life hasn't been the same since. And it was a Prada Autumn-Winter 2018 show in Milan that propelled Anak's modeling career, where she opened the show being the first Black woman since Naomi Campbell, who had previously opened the show 20 years before in 1997. Anak has walked in many more shows from New York to Milan to London and Paris, and has taken part in countless fashion campaigns. We talk about all this and more, as well as her taking an active part in making sure fashion is diverse and inclusive. So sit back and enjoy this interview with the intelligent and confident Anok Yai. I've always been interested in biographies and the stories of people's lives. In 10th grade, I read over 30 books of the Kennedy family, not out of obsession, but deep fascination of their commitment to public service. I read so many biographies that I've lost count, and I must say, I get this from my mother. She's always reading biographies. I'm Ali Porti, a fashion journalist and editor of Zayla magazine. I invite you to sit in on some of my conversations with some pretty inspiring people from around the world on topics of fashion, entertainment, music, and entrepreneurship. Basically, these are conversations from the soulful side of life about topics that will hopefully inspire your life in some way. This is the soulful side of life. I assume you were born during the second South Sudanese civil war, right? And that maybe as a result, your family went to Egypt as refugees, and that's where you were born. So the question is, there are about 79.5 million refugees in the world. How important is it for the care of refugees and that people should pay attention to issues?
I mean, it's extremely important because just being a refugee myself, I know the kind of struggles that my own family went through. Just going to a country where you probably don't speak the language, you don't really have money, and you more than likely have kids that you need to raise and take care of. And when we came to the US, I think I was around 3 or 4, and we stopped in New York first, but then we ended up in New Hampshire because they had the most benefits for immigrants. And then we were given government housing and assistance. And I mean, had we not been given that, I don't even know where we would have ended up if we didn't have any assistance. And I mean, growing up, I always saw how much the parents struggled and just having assistance alone. There's more struggles that build on top of that. Because like my parents, they were luckily able to find jobs, but they came with 4 kids. So my parents would work 12, 16-hour days almost every day. And the kids really have to learn how to be, independent. Yeah. And basically my parents were raising me and my older sisters, and then me and my sister were raising the younger ones, because there's not really many people at home. But yeah, being an immigrant, the struggles that they face are immense. And
Yeah, and I imagine that that civil war in South Sudan was quite serious.
Yeah.
Did you lose a lot of family members?
Yeah, a lot of family members have either passed away or we've been scattered around the world um, looking for a safe haven to go to. Right now, I'm actually finding out about a few family members that I didn't even know I had because they're able to find me through, since I become a public figure, they were able to like trace me down and then send me photos of when I was a little kid and we were in Egypt. And yeah, it's insane. Like I have family right now in Europe and Australia and basically all over the world.
Wow. I mean, and out of an unfortunate situation, but I guess it's a positive that you all are getting opportunities for education, or like you being one of the world's top models. That wouldn't have happened, I assume, if you had stayed in South Sudan or Egypt.
Yeah, I mean, the main goal for every immigrant parent is to find education for their kids. And that was what I was basically raised on. I wanted to be in the medical field, and I worked a lot on my merit. And my goal was to end up in a hospital and have a doctorate degree. And I'm still, that's still on my plate to do. But of course, I can expand more with what I have now.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. Have you gone to South Sudan at all? Have you?
I have not been able to go yet, but I'm gonna go either this year or next year, and
Okay,
then go visit my family and go see my village. And
that's
the
awesome.
only connection that I mean, I still have connections to my country, of course, but mainly my parents have gone back and my sister have gone back, and I can see the place through like photos and FaceTime and stuff like that. But yeah, I plan on going
That,
back home very soon.
when you moved to New Hampshire, were you welcomed there? Was your family welcomed by the
Um,
Americans?
I mean, the racism was very in our, I mean, we were welcome, but of course we were faced with a lot of racism. And um, I mean, as I grew up in school, I was always, bullied for my skin color. And I kind of had to grow thick skin because I
Mhm.
had to, of course, learn the language and then be able to take care of my little siblings and then go to school and be able to fend for myself. So it kind of made me grow thicker skin.
Yeah, you have to as a brown person in the Western world, for sure. Okay, so then Howard University happened in 2017, and you weren't expecting to become a model, and you were a biochemistry student, and your life changed overnight. That was 3 years ago. So how would you sum up in a few lines going from obscurity to being one of the most sought after models?
Um, I don't really know if I can sum it up small, concise way, but a lot of hard work went behind it. A lot of work behind the scene that no one really sees. But when that photo first went viral, of course, I wasn't expecting it. And then once I got introduced into the industry, um, I could have very easily been a flash in the pan. I'm sure that's what a couple of people were expecting. But once I met with my team, I made it my goal. So I wanted to be a powerhouse in the industry. And then so me and my team, we came together and we came up with well, we didn't come up with the plan, but we made like very careful, meticulous decisions in order to get the results that we wanted or that I wanted. And I mean, I was able to position myself in in the fashion industry to have a powerful presence and be able to work with the top creatives at a top level. And Prada was basically my entry point to be able to do that.
Yeah, and I've got a question about Prada coming up, but no industry is perfect. So, how have you been able to use your influence as a model to better the fashion industry?
Um, the industry is very fickle.
Mm.
Every decision has its consequences, whether it be good and bad. But I mean, I've been able to kind of put myself in a position of power where I I mean, I started off with the hair issues, and I got to a point where I told my agent that I refuse to straighten my hair, and I will either walk a show with cornrows or an afro, and if not, then I'm not going to do the show. And that was a really risky move on my part, of course, but I got benefits out of it because other Black models were able to see that I was able to stand my ground, and they also followed. And I also made a very big effort to bring Black artists and creatives up with me. So like everyone on my team, I make a very good effort to have people of color on my team and working around me and in my area, I guess, because obviously the industry had issues with racism and not having people of color around. So I definitely, it's always in the back of my head, like I need to bring someone with me instead of being the main person of color alone in the room, of course.
That's really great and amazing because, being Black, when you get Blacks together, they'll say we don't support one another and help one another. But I find that there are many Blacks in fashion who are trying to lift other Blacks up. So that's amazing. And then, okay, Prada happened, which propelled your career, which I find it astounding that it was in 1997, before you came as or opening their show, there hadn't been a Black model since 1997. And they should have worked on that before. But did you feel like that was Prada saying, okay, we know that we need to be more inclusive and we've found this lovely model, Anok, to do this? Or
when it happened, when I opened the show, I actually had no idea that I was the first Black model since Naomi. I found out maybe the next day. And I mean, ever since that show, me and Prada has basically, I don't want to say the other designers followed, but after that show, I saw a lot more Black models backstage and opening and closing shows. So, I mean, it was a huge stride in terms of compared to the past, which, I mean, there's still strides that we still have to make, but it's a positive one. So I'm always grateful for that.
Yeah, it's a really good positive one. And Anna Wintour has been known for putting people of color on the front of Vogue covers. How does it feel to have been on the front of American Vogue and British Vogue?
It was amazing. When I found out that I was going to be on the cover, I basically told myself not to get too excited because, of course, when they shoot covers, it's basically a test to see whether or not you'll be on the cover. It's never guaranteed. Sorry, let me put my phone inside.
Don't worry.
It's never guaranteed. So even when I was on set shooting it, I was like, I can't believe I'm going to be on the cover of Vogue. And then it didn't feel real until it came out. And then I saw myself on the cover with the Physical magazine. And then I was in such shock. And I was so proud of how far I came. And basically, yeah, me and my team celebrated that night. And yeah, it was amazing.
Has it been hard for your parents? Like I imagine, like you said before, parents want their children to get education first, but you're making so many gains now as a model. Has it been hard for your parents?
At first, it was very hard for them because my dad drilled the importance of education into my head. And then so I was very adamant on getting an education, graduating a doctorate degree. And I would just whenever I would sit with my parents, we would just talk about school and my grades and what I was going to become. And then so I had like tunnel vision in terms of being in the medical field. So then when that opportunity came, it came to a halt almost. And I just jumped to a completely different field. And my parents were obviously very scared when that happened, especially after I dropped out. They were really nervous. And then at first they were fighting me against it. They really did not want me to start modeling. And then I basically just took the risk. And then I left home with New York. And then once they started seeing that I was able to be successful and hold my ground and my place in the industry, then they started trusting me more. And yeah, now they're very supportive. In my mom's house, she has like photos of like my campaigns all over the house. So yeah, they're very happy about it. And they're just happy that I'm able to have, what's it called?
Success.
Word. I'm able to have like, yeah, success and a stable career.
Yeah, yeah. And as you said, it's on your list to one day go back and maybe finish your degree. But you're bringing so much attention to the importance for the industry to be diverse and inclusive.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, we all have our callings and purposes, and maybe you'll become that doctor one day, but this seems also a part of your purpose, because being around fashion, I see it, a lack of inclusion, and
Yeah.
people to speak up about it.
Yeah. Also, the thing, another issue that I always wanted to fight against was that I noticed that whenever Black creatives were introduced into this narrative, it would be solely because they're Black. Then I really did not like that. Because then I want to get to the point where people don't hire other people of color because they're Black.
Yeah.
Wait, let me say that differently. I want to get to the point where people don't hire Black people just because they're Black. They're also unbelievably talented. And the Black creatives that I've worked with, they were the best in their field. And I remember I did a campaign with Brother Vellies, and that was an all Black team. And when we shot it, it was shot in my apartment, actually. And it was all done through FaceTime and a laptop. And they sent me their camera and the photographer is basically standing outside my door, telling me what to do. And when we were coming up with the creative process of the campaign, we wanted to make it look like a professional, because obviously it was me kind of taking the photos from my apartment. We wanted to make it look like it was taken from my apartment, and we wanted to make it like one of the best campaigns that we've done. And when it came out, I feel like it kind of showed people that yes, we're Black, of course, but we're really talented, and people should focus on the talent rather than my skin color.
Yeah, that's true. I was in a job interview once, and the head of HR said to me, "Wow, your people must be very proud of you for all the accomplishments that." And when you phrase a question that way to a minority, it's still keeping minorities imprisoned or put in a certain spot. So yeah, hopefully fashion will wake up to this, and the people at the top will correct themselves on this. So you've been really busy during this pandemic time. What have you been working on fashion-wise that's keeping you busy?
Fashion-wise, I basically been more in touch with my artistic side. I grew up always drawing and painting, but I didn't really focus on it too much. And I've always loved fashion. I've always loved styling and the creative process. So I've been able to creative direct some shoots and style some shoots. And I'm basically expanding my business in every sense and showing people my talents. And when it comes out, we'll see how they take it. I've always wanted to creative direct, so that was like one of the things, but like I've also been doing stuff in terms of sports. Like I've started training in martial arts, and
That's cool.
it's tense. I do it like 5 times a week, and it's very intense, and I have a really great teacher. And what else have I been up to? I've been really into my art. Yeah, basically I'm just spending days in my studio just creating as much art as I can and seeing where that takes me. Yeah.
Are you a part of any of the digital fashion shows, whether it's during New York Fashion Week or Paris Fashion Week that's coming up? Or
the ones that I've done or the ones that are coming up?
Well, have you been doing digital fashion shows?
Yeah, I've done a couple of digital shows. I did Saint Laurent. That one was shot in a desert, and then I did Prada, I think. Yeah, I did a couple. They're very the sets of photo shoots and shows they're so completely like the exact opposite of what it usually is. So like when you're on a photo shoot, obviously it's very organized, but there's so many people on set, and now it's like the big mass and very small amount of people. And then for I think the biggest difference that I saw was in shows, because shows are always very chaotic and filled with drama and all this. And shows, it's like you'll be in a room where it should be like 100 people and there'll be maybe 20 or something. And then yeah, so like they've dwindled down the numbers a lot. And the issue right now is like traveling to different shows that are done in different countries with the COVID guidelines. It's obviously really hard. So basically, if I'm able to get to the country, then I'll do the show. But yeah, I'm basically being held back by that.
Yeah, as are everyone else. What have you learned about like life and the importance of it during this pandemic time? The important things of life.
I mean, I really realized the importance of following your passion and being surrounded by good people, and the importance of having connections with your friends and family. Because obviously before COVID, my social life wasn't really there, because I was just working. And I would talk to my friends and family like once every few months, because I'm just busy working all the time. And then now with the quarantine, of course, everyone's alone. And then, of course, it had such a huge effect on people's mental states, that it's so important to surround yourself with good people that care about you, and at the same time follow your passion. And the importance of art and being able to create, I feel like it's like kind of like awakened the creative side of me, because before COVID I was solely focused on like the business aspects, and I didn't really get to enjoy my hobbies as much, but now I see the importance of it.
Yeah, being able to slow down has been good for all of us. What would you tell yourself that 3 years ago when you had that photo taken and the next day you had a whole bunch of follows on social media and model agents calling you? What would you tell yourself?
Myself, I would tell myself, just go. Like, don't. I feel, because fear can hold back so much dreams that you have. So I would just say, just go, have no fear, and the universe will take care of you.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, it's been an honor to chat with you, and yeah, may your career go upwards and onwards.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you.
Well, have a wonderful night.
I hope that you enjoyed this podcast episode and that you have found a soulful connection to the conversation. God bless you, and until the next episode, go bless somebody else.